Hi there, I'm Karen from Midlife Mojo, and today I'm talking to Sumitra all about family constellation, mental health, and some woo woo things that we don't quite understand just yet. So don't go away, stick around, and we'll be talking to Sumi in a little while. So, hi Sumi,
Hi, Karen.
how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me to be with you on your platform.
Oh, I'm excited because I am fascinated with what you do and all that. But before we start, how would you describe who is Sumitra when someone hears your name for the first time, and how would you describe your work?
So, that's a very interesting question, and it's something that I find hard to say in a few words because I'm a woman who wears many hats.
Okay.
and at this current stage of my life, my main focus is on being a family constellations practitioner, life coach, and energy healer. So, those are like three things that are
Oh,
interrelated
okay.
with each other. But basically, I mentor, I coach. I'm here to support people's transformations. And I look at it as I'm here to develop human potential myself,
Okay.
as well as working with others.
So, what lights you up when you do this?
For me, it's about being able to hold space for people who are going through transformations to find their own aha moments, to find their own lessons, and to be able to navigate better whatever challenges that they're facing, because I've gone through challenges myself.
Right.
So my thing is not so much that I sit there and I share my lessons, but because I've gone through things and I've gone the whatever I'm working in, I've been a recipient of it before
Okay.
as a client.
Okay.
So for me, it's about holding space for someone else to also, in a way, it's like paying it forward for someone else to also have their own transformation, to have find their own answers, to find their own peace in their life.
So, you came from a very, very different career before.
Yes.
So you were, if I'm not wrong, an engineer, and you were working in corporate, quite a high flyer from New York City to UK and Sri Lanka, if I'm not wrong. Correct me.
UK, not so much, but I worked as a chemical engineer in environmental consulting originally. And that was in the early part of my career, where I trained as a chemical engineer and double majored in Spanish. I studied in the US. And I thought, okay, childhood dream was to work with the UN, but it was like childhood dream up in the sky. Never thought it would ever happen. But there was some point where I got the opportunity to work in project management on projects that supported indigenous communities
Right.
on sustainable development and
Okay.
sustainable livelihood, so that you do environmental protection, but the community also can do something to earn some income from protecting or doing certain work in a forested area or for climate change.
Okay.
So that work was maybe like my first 4 years were in environmental consulting, and then the rest of my career has been more towards humanitarian and international development.
Yeah,
And
but it's intense.
yes, and
And
like you said, it was very different from like the path I'm on now. But in some ways, when I was talking to a former colleague recently, he said, "Oh, before you were focused on human development at a bigger scale,
right.
communities, ecosystems. Now you're looking at a micro scale, at an individual.
Right.
What's the difference that they can make in their lives, or what changes can they make in their lives?"
But the reason I ask is that what you are doing now seems a little out of the world, little bit, um, for lack of better word, a woo woo kind of thing. And and why I bring this up is she's not a woo woo person. She's an chemical engineer, double majors, super smart, super fun
Thanks.
person, and then doing something like this. So what led you to this journey to be a life coach, energy healer and family constellation all together? What? There must be something that triggered you.
So for me, there was always an interest in how can I be the best version of myself.
Okay.
So it started when I was 24. I went through Asia Works and a leadership training program, and that helped me to start working on myself more. But before that, as a teenager, if there were self-help books or there were interesting articles, because those days no internet.
We still use the dial system
Yes,
telephone just
because
in
I'm
case.
51 and I only got a smartphone in like 1998 or 99. I mean, not a smartphone, but a normal mobile phone.
Yeah.
And then smartphone only in 2013, and I was the last of my friends to do it. So, it's like those days of like, just what can I learn to help me be a better form of myself?
Right.
And how can I work on myself? And then from there, it became into going into coaching was when I was coming to the end of a job with United Nations Development Program's regional center in Sri Lanka. So I've worked in Malaysia, the US, Sri Lanka, Philippines, and Thailand. Not the UK.
Okay.
I've only been on vacation in the UK,
Okay.
not worked in the UK. But like the other 5 countries are where I've worked, and more on my like where I've been based physically, like to be there for like 3 to 6 months or a few years to do different kinds of work. And when I looked at when I was in Sri Lanka between 2007 2010, the office I was working with in 2010 headquarters decided to close and merge it with another office.
Okay.
And at that time, because my contract was being renewed every year, I had job security. There was not this thing of, oh, this job is going to end, but there was a change of senior leadership at headquarters and the change of direction for the regional centers for UN development program in Asia Pacific in 2010. So at that point, then it was like, okay, there was already someone holding my post in the regional center they wanted to merge us with, because they were going to merge us with Bangkok. So it was like I was going to be out of a job once they merged the regional centers.
Right.
And other teams were being migrated over to Bangkok, and international experts were moving from Sri Lanka to Bangkok. The national staff in Sri Lanka, their contracts were shortened and they couldn't move. But it was this thing where when I looked at the trauma of going through that forced change, and it's based on office decision, corporate decision, I thought I don't ever want one company to be responsible for my future. I want my job future to be in my hands.
Yeah.
So that was a point that I thought, okay, let me learn coaching, because then I can use it for myself on improving myself. I can also use it when I head a team or work with other people as colleagues. And I can also use it internationally if I want to ever move, on my own, go do something else.
Yeah.
I have that as a skill. So that's where the coaching thing started. The energy healing thing started before the coaching, and that started in 2001 or 2002. I first studied pranic healing because I had an interest in energy healing. I went through a healing crisis in 2001, and Western medicine wasn't helping resolve it.
Right.
So, and that I then got so
that was
desperate.
your catalyst.
I started looking for anything else that would work: acupuncture, acupressure massage, energy healing. What will give me answers and be a more long-lasting healing? So that healing thing started first, and then it went into the coaching thing.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So, so given that, how, looking back, how has that personal life experience shaped the way you support people now? Yeah.
So I support based on, I've gone through a lot of stuff myself. And so when people are sharing about what they've gone through, I hold space for that, because I can understand. I may not have walked exactly the same path they've walked, but I've been at the point of where they feel helpless, or they feel angry, or they feel sad, or they feel hurt by certain relationships or certain things that have happened, because I've gone through that too. So I remember when we were going through coaching training, the trainers were it was like a 9-month program, almost like doing an executive MBA. And it was a program from the US that was coming to Singapore. It was called the New Field Coaching Program.
Okay.
And it was run in Singapore by the Works Partnership, and the trainers were coming in from US, UK, Europe, other countries, and they would say where you quote from is actually from the place of your wounds, because you hold space for others and your wounds become your gifts. So that idea was like, oh, how is this possible that a wound can become a gift? And it's because when you do the work and you go through it or you've dealt with it, the wound doesn't disappear. It's just that how you work with it or how you hold space for it is different, and it doesn't trigger so much. There's peace at the end of it.
Right.
And looking at what are the gifts from this rather than, oh, this is still triggering, this is still painful. But I still have wounds. We all have wounds.
We all have wounds.
Yeah.
Is it just to kind of, is it true, like if you take the wound, is how you interpret that wound and shift it to something that will work for you and move that in, or would that be?
That's a great question, because that for me, when I was learning the coaching program first, the coaching program I was in had two basic formulas or models in a way, that a foundation for it. So the coaching program I did looked at ontological coaching. Ontology means you're looking at the foundation of who you are being. It is not about taking action first. It's about you understand you first,
Right.
then you decide what action you're going to take.
Right.
So there were two models that were at the basis of this ontological coaching. One is observer action equals results. So you have to have an observer and an action to get results. And and the observer can be yourself. It doesn't have to be someone outside of you. So how to change how we observe ourselves comes to that second model that was the foundation, which is body, emotion, language. So body links to somatic work,
Right.
the body. Emotion links to connecting to our emotions and feeling our emotions. And the language is about affirmations of the mind.
Right.
And if I say body, emotions, and language, just a question, which one do you think is the easiest to change and which one do you think is the hardest to change?
Easiest, body.
Yes.
And
Very
language.
True. Language is the hardest.
Yeah.
Very true. You're one of the only people I've asked that question who's ever gotten it 100%. Because language is tied to mind. We're very fixed in how we think, and we're very righteous about it. And language is harder to change. So when we get affirmations, it's great, but it won't change things completely until the observer and the body changes, and it shifts the emotions as well.
So it all has to work.
It all has to work out, but the body is the easiest because body doesn't lie. So in terms of intuition, so when we say we're happy, it shows because we sit up, energy is expansive.
Correct.
But when we say we're happy and we're like this,
It shows already.
this is a lie, because this is not the shape.
Exactly.
And the body can't lie. So when you see people and they're acting a certain way, and you're like, oh, something's not quite right. They're projecting, or there's something going on here. We're reading the body. We're reading the intuition there.
I do believe that. I mean, like on my worst days, and what I would do is I'll do my Superman pose, and I look up in the sun and I just say, okay, to the universe, and absorbing the sunlight, and say, okay, everything will be great. I will have a good day. And I mean, it's setting and telling the universe that I will have a good day and we're not gonna let anything bring me down. So I do believe
and it's declaring it and then holding yourself to, okay, it's not that I'm ignoring that other stuff might happen, but I'm setting my intentions for the day.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's fascinating.
And if in terms of then working with things in family constellation, what I've also learned more is about acknowledging what is. So it's important to be truthful about emotions, about what's really going on.
Right.
So if someone has hurt you, it doesn't mean you have to go up to them and say, you've hurt me, but to acknowledge, I'm feeling pain, I'm feeling hurt, I feel sad, or I feel angry, rather than stuffing it away. Because when it gets stuffed away, it becomes like a child. Yeah, it can erupt, it can become a volcano. Or it's like a child that is unseen, unheard, unwanted. And we want all our inner children, all our emotions to be acknowledged,
Yeah.
not necessarily by others, but even by ourselves first.
Right. Wow. I think we can go on and
Oh,
on
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you work with people with very deep emotional and energetic levels. What are some of the common themes that you see showing up again and again?
So there's a lot of stuff with self-worth or self-love where it might translate into sometimes self-harm or sometimes into unhealthy, like being stressed out, not taking care of self. And then also there's um, an abundance, um, financial abundance. There's also issues that come up. And it's interesting because you think on family constellations, what does financial abundance have to do with? But sometimes there's repeating patterns in families. So I look at intergenerational trauma and what is unprocessed that's being handed down through the family lineage, because sometimes things can come to us through our mother's lineage, father's lineage, our own soul lineage. And in family constellations, one of the points is everything and everyone is always included, nothing and no one is excluded. So sometimes there may have been in a family like someone who is choosing to cut off the rest of the family, or there's been abortions, miscarriages, stillbirths, and those people are not acknowledged, or they have chosen to not acknowledge certain parts of their family or themselves. It creates a wound. So it's to just be able to say, okay, that whether they're part of the family or not, their energy cannot be replaced. They always have a place in the family, even if they are gone. They always have a place in the family.
Right. I mean, one of the things, as you know, I am a big advocate for menopause women. And part of the community with women in midlife, I am always very concerned with. I'm not sure if it's to do with our culture, but a lot of women put themselves last, whether it's taking care of themselves or their health or even their mind. And how would you what would you advise women who are going through that acknowledging what you're going through, this shift is big.
Yeah.
It's a very big shift, and yet they're not recognizing it. They're not um, embracing that, oh, it's time to put myself first, because it seems to be a very selfish thing to put myself
Yeah.
first, right?
Yeah.
So what would you advise someone who's going through that?
That's a very interesting question because there's not one answer to fit everything. It basically comes down to listening to your heart and to your body, because when we don't put ourselves first, that is actually the mind, or it's a pattern we've seen in our lives. Our mothers were like that, or our grandmothers were like that. And it's a pattern we're familiar with because we've grown up in it. We have been born into it. It's been bred into us. So that taking a stand for self is a little bit like being on an airplane and they tell you to put the life
Right.
vest on yourself first before you help someone else.
Correct.
Because if you don't put it on yourself and the plane goes down, you might have tried to help them, but then you are completely out of the picture at that point.
Correct.
So at what point do you start saying, I love myself enough to put myself first in, and maybe it's tough to do it in all areas, but okay, at least in the area of my health, because women also, it's been proven in studies that doctors don't tend to take what women say
seriously
no, versus a man,
yeah.
right? So, and then menopause is not always well understood by all doctors.
Yeah.
For me personally, like I chose to always have women gynecologists because I thought, yeah, a man may be good as a gynecologist, but I want a woman who understands what it's like to be a woman, to deal with female stuff with me.